Evie, you're back, and just in time for Dragonflight.
I'm back. Oh man, it seems like ages since I've been in game.
Well, that's because of the time skip.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, even though in reality you've only been away since 9.2, in-game 3 years have passed since between when we killed the jailer and now.
Oh, what if I didn't kill the jailer?
It's fine, it's still been 3 years.
That's why it's felt so long. I've got to say, it's been great having all that spare time without any world-ending threats to get things done.
Yeah. What?
I mean, 3 years. I've had time to get my PhD.
You got your PhD in the time skip?
Well, not just that, obviously. I managed to finish my novel, too.
You wrote a novel?
And get cracking on the sequel.
Oh, wow.
And write a screenplay for my novel.
Evitel, that's incredible.
Well, I mean, it has been 3 years. Oh, and I walked the Appalachian Trail. Always wanted to do that.
Me too.
You should have come. But I guess you've been busy for the last 3 years too, right?
Yeah, totally.
What did you do?
Well, I mean, I played WoW. Like, retail, but also classic, and alpha, and beta.
Oh, cool. Anything else?
Yeah? Elden Ring?
Yeah. Oh, did you finish Endwalker?
No.
Never mind. Did you get your driving license?
No.
Oh, did you manage to take a look at that broken pipe outside the kitchen like you said?
It's like the next thing on my list, okay?
Oh, cool. Well, I've got to go do a lecture about 19th century haiku. Oh, yeah, I speak Japanese now.
Really?
Yeah, I learned Japanese.
In the time skip?
Yeah, it was actually really hard. It took ages. Anyway, I'll be back for the lunch. Sayonara!
Oh wow, she really can speak Japanese. Man, Evie is so amazing. It kind of makes me feel a bit unaccomplished. Maybe we should try and do something important and fulfilling before the time skip finishes.
Nope.
I don't know, Bane. I just feel like I'm wasting my life.
I've ordered pizza.
Oh, why didn't you say so? Move up.
Knowledge is power.
Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Reset. Taliesin and Evitel's Wondrous Wisdom Show in a week where, well look, I'll be honest, we just got back from Guild Holiday, which was not fun at all, obviously, because we spent all of our time discussing potential tactics for the first Dragonflight raid and the upcoming Race to World First for guilds with names a bit like Immortalis. So, sorry for no episode last week, and sorry for the late episode today. We've got a new camera. I recorded the entire episode, intro and all, on the wrong camera setting, so extra specially sorry for that, especially as there is just so much to talk about and catch up on, including all the new best stuff from the Dragonflight beta and PTR, updates on the gearing controversy of last show, new gearing controversy, and of course, Wrath of the Lich King Classic. Going into pre-patch and Blizzard starting the legendary Scourge invasions accidentally. I have no idea how video games work, like what needs to happen for that mistake to happen or whatever, but I am pretty certain it's a big button on a desk. Scourge invasion button. And I love that someone just pressed that button by mistake. Like maybe they just put their sandwich on it absent-mindedly. Maybe they mistook it for the introduce new ship monetization into Overwatch 2 button. Maybe they just really love pressing buttons and couldn't resist it. And I relate. And I know we don't really talk about Classic on this channel, do we? And there's a very good reason for that. I don't really play Classic. And by that I mean not beyond the first couple of weeks at least. I'm a proud member of the 90% of the community that pops in at the beginning of a Classic launch with my new boosted character and levels a bit until I'm bored or until something new happens in the live game which distracts me. I always end up having a ton of fun for those couple of weeks, and I am especially looking forward to dropping into Howling Fjord and Grizzly Hills this time around for some proper nostalgia, because Wrath is where I started playing the game. Normally I wouldn't even bother with the pre-patch, to be perfectly honest, but this time around I had an extra incentive in the Frostbrood Proto-Worm, a new mount for retail WoW, which players obtain through completing the Death Knight starting experience in Classic. And you better believe that I want a cool shiny Ice Dragon mount, because I'm kind of into dragons right now for some reason, so you better believe that I completed the Death Knight starting experience in Wrath, which really didn't even feel especially classic-y, to be honest, since it's barely changed in the last 14 years. But I got my Proto Drake, which is good, because I am very intrigued by the wording on Blizzard's blue post about it. Players will earn the Frostbrood Proto-Worm to carry them through their adventures in Shadowlands and beyond into the upcoming Dragonflight expansion. Because I don't know about you, fam, but that sounds suspiciously to me like the Frostbrood Proto-Worm will be usable in Dragonflight, which, you know, of course it is, all mounts are, but the only mounts that will be able to fly in Dragonflight, and therefore carrying me through my Dragonflight adventures, until like 10.2 or whatever, are dragon riding mounts, of which we currently know of the 4 base models, the Season 1 Gladiator mount, which works as a skin to the Highland Drake, and a mystery 6th model in the files, which we assume will be awarded for something else. And hey, I think new skins for dragon riding mounts from achievements is an excellent reward form in the new expansion. I'm sure Cutting Edge and Ahead of the Curve and Keystone Master achievements will all reward their own dragon riding skins at some point, and I think that'll be really cool. Not quite on the level of how cool getting new artifact skins was in Legion, but definitely a similar vibe, and I am totally in favour of it. So what I'm asking is the Frostbrood Proto-Worm one such skin? I mean, obviously it is a mount in the normal sense as well, but is it a skin too? It does use the exact same skeleton as the renewed Proto-Drake, coincidentally the first dragon riding mount you get given. Is this, yes, a normal mount, but also a skin for that one particular type of Drake? Well, I hope so, obviously, because that would be extraordinarily cool, and I've talked about it quite a lot now, but just to be clear, I don't think that is what this blue post is saying. I think it's just a confusingly written blue post, so don't get too excited. Although, yeah, I know, I did try and test this out by completing the DK starting zone in Wrath Classic, then logging into Shadowlands to open up and equip the mount reward, then copy that character over onto the Dragonflight Alpha to see if anything happened when I mounted the Frostbrood Proto-Worm in the Dragon Isles. And currently, the Frostbrood Proto-Worm does not even appear in your mount collection on the beta, which, I don't know, if it was just a normal mount that was perfectly normal and worked normally, why wouldn't it just appear on my mount tab on the beta yet? I don't know. I think it's time for our weekly BETA and PTR Dragonflight update. New on the PTR this week. The PTR, the public test realm, is up, which it usually is for around 2 months before the pre-patch goes live. And it is the pre-patch PTR, so that means it doesn't have any of the Dragon Isles, but also at the moment it doesn't even have the revamped Ulderman Dungeon, which will be playable in the pre-patch, or Drakthir Evokers, which we've been told will also be available. That essentially means this PTR is just the new talent trees, but honestly, that is plenty to be getting on with, because of course being PTR, that means anyone can play it and give feedback on the changes to their favourite class. So get on there and make sure Blizzard don't dick you. I mean, make sure your class is as fun and satisfying as it should be. Also on the PTR this week, data mining found a new transmog, or at least a new transmog recolor, which Wowhead speculate is connected to the pre-patch event, as it is currently item level 250 and can be equipped at level 58. Currently, of course, we don't actually know if that's true because we know very little about the pre-patch event, but this recolor is really cool. The leather and mail sets absolutely having a very strong Emerald Dream vibe, which is interesting, isn't it? I just find that interesting is all. Also new on beta this week, the Seed of Renewed Souls, a toy that allows players to take their selected soul shape whenever they like. It's just the appearance without the speed boost. It breaks on entering combat or casting, but if it's not broken, then the effect lasts 10 minutes on a 5-minute cooldown, effectively allowing players to just hang out in their soul shape and chill when they're out and about, or just in cities, or, most importantly of all, when they know they're about to enter an in-game cutscene and they desperately need to appear as a perfect tiny round pig in the cinematic, as they should, as we all should. It also means that the things to do before Dragonflight YouTube meta lists need to be like clear out your bags, drop old quests, go to Oribos and switch Covenant to Ardenweald so that you can pick up the toy from Lady Moon in the heart of the forest and select the beautiful perfect round tiny pig shape so that you can always become the perfect round tiny pig whenever you like, which is obviously going to be always. Also new on beta this week, maps for the new Vault of the Incarnates raid, the first raid of the new expansion. Now there's still been no testing on this yet, so this is legit all we have apart from the dungeon journal and the awesome entrance in Valdrakken. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of vault-looking rooms in that raid. Everything appears to be in order. Good. Also, new on beta last week, as a catch-up, boat timers. Do you remember last episode? I mentioned that the Dragon Isles boat goes from the same dock as the Kultiris boat, and that they look like the exact same boat, and that's very confusing. Yes, well, this week, Drakthir NPC Krovo is on hand to help, armed with an actual honest-to-goodness timer that tells you when the next Dragon Isles boat is due. This will be extended to the Zeppelin in Orgrimmar that departs for the Dragon Isles, as well as both boats from the Dragon Isles. And tonight we are going to party like it's 1999 because WoW has finally arrived in the 21st century, fam. Actually, that's a bit unfair, isn't it? This is really more like something that I never even knew I needed in my life until I actually had it, like an accountant or the sexy time funky Jams playlist on Spotify. And you hope, don't you, that it will be rolled out all across the game onto every boat and Zeppelin NPC there is. They wouldn't invent a really cool quality of life feature like this and then not extend it across the entire game, would they? Oh god. Also, new on the beta, changes to the Tuskar soup making event in the Azure Span. Previously in this open world event, players contributed to the soup as it was being cooked simply by gathering and fishing up fish to put in it. But this is now a much more of a group mini game where the chef will shout out instructions to you all, which will be stuff like defend the soup from the hungry turtle, stamp on the annoying crabs, fetch the blubber from the other side of the camp, all of which are obviously much easier the more players happen to be present. And when I was there were absolutely loads of us, so we completed the event pretty quickly, getting the soup up to legendary quality, which meant that when we ate it, we gained the Spirit of Sharing, a buff that awards you and a nearby ally 1200 versatility for 9 seconds every time you kill an enemy. Lovely. And that finished soup was then up for an hour, and I guess available to any other players who just happen to be passing by the village to take a bite or a suck. Also new on the beta, more UI updates. Still no click to grid, but there are now cool wyverns around the action bar for Horde players instead of the Alliance-centric classic griffins, the new modern style character bar, and some nice new effects like the animated Z's for when you're in a rested area, and cool swishy slidey loot windows. And sorry, I don't know the exact word for this effect, but it's swishy and it's slidey, and man, I really feel like I'm in the future now. It's wild. Like, I'm not even exaggerating here, okay? But these swishy slidey loot windows are like something that massively improves my gameplay experience for the better. I'm so easy, it's pathetic. Also new on beta, new hunter tames, including the rodents of Dragonflight, which, let's be honest, means the otters of Dragonflight. But not just otters, no, also beavers. Beavers. Spiky primal hedgehog things, and the terrifying foxbat thing, which isn't actually a rodent, obviously, because it's an actual nightmare made manifest, but also it's a feather mane, which you know how to tame if you played Legion. And if you didn't play Legion, you should play Legion. It was good. Also new in beta, we found out the new Mythic Plus dungeon rotation for Season 1 of Dragonflight, which, well, you might think was always pretty obvious, you know? It's like, oh, Tally, is it the dungeons from Dragonflight by any chance? But actually, no. The answer is no. Ian Hazakostas already revealed ages ago that in the new expansion, although all 8 new Dragonflight dungeons will be released and playable at launch on normal and heroic difficulties as usual, the dungeon rotation for the first 2 seasons of Mythic Plus would comprise of 4 Dragonflight dungeons and 4 time-walking dungeons in Season 1, and then the other 4 Dragonflight dungeons and another 4 time-walking dungeons in Season 2. An attempt to tackle what I have long considered loudly for the last 2 expansions now to be the second biggest problem with World of Warcraft after the increasingly stagnant patch cycle. The fact that Mythic Plus loot tables stay exactly the same season to season throughout the entire expansion. Because one of the core loops of WoW is new content being released, which in turn awards new upgraded loot from what came before it. And this is fun. It's good to go into a new raid and defeat new bosses and get new gear. Yeah, count me in. Also, carry me, please. But you know what is considerably less fun? A new tier of loot in a new season of Mythic Plus, which is the exact same loot from the exact same bosses, and which you already worked hard to get your bis from last season, and which you now have to farm again just at the higher item level. To simplify, farming new powerful gear from new content good, farming the same gear again from the same content every season, very, very bad. Now, of course, the best fix for this would be to make 8 new dungeons every season, but that isn't going to happen. In the past, I've suggested just changing every loot table for each dungeon every season, something that you'd imagine would be a phenomenal amount of work, but which I think would be worth it, no matter how many resources it took, because, you know, this is the second biggest problem in the entire game we're talking about. This approach by Blizzard, though, to the first 2 seasons does actually solve the problem. The loot table in Season 2 will be 100% different from the loot table in Season 1. Result. But is the cost too high? I want to do all the new stuff. I don't want to do old dungeons when a new expansion comes out. Come on, Blizzard. Is it too much to ask for 8 new dungeons in a new expansion? Okay, but can we get 8 new dungeons first, please? This is just a method to keep players on game, not to please all for the sake of fun. And honestly, I am very sympathetic to those views of people who say it feels weird and anticlimactic to have dungeons that aren't from the new expansion in the dungeon rotation of the first season of a new expansion. I think that's true. It's like when you sit down to enjoy an episode of your favorite sitcom, Cheers. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wow, Taliesin, how did you know Cheers is my favorite sitcom? And my friend, that's easy. Cheers is every WoW player's favorite sitcom because we just love filling bars. So anyway, it's like you sit down to a hilarious episode of Cheers, but it turns out to be one of those stupid clip shows, and I hate Cheers and their stupid clip shows, but what really lights a naked flame around the thin, fragile canvas of my otherwise incredibly safe Hopium blimp is the choice of dungeons, and specifically Halls of Valor and Court of Stars. And I don't even mean whether people like those 2 dungeons or not, because actually, surprisingly, everyone is genuinely really happy about them. And don't take my word for it, just go and check out the forums, where there is a real buzz of excitement in the air about the thought of playing Halls of Valor again and Court of Stars again, the dungeons that every serious player rates as among their absolute genuine faves and most loved of all time. No, it was a shit show, obviously. Halls of Valor? No fishing way. Please don't. Horrible decision. Not like this, please. There are so many better options. Just thinking of doing the old dungeons in Mythic Plus again makes me sick. Just when you think the WoW devs can't get any more disconnected from their player base, they announce this nonsense. These dungeons are the Grimrail picks and I don't hate the dungeons, they're fine. Actually, they're really good. My problem is that I don't think it's right to have Mythic Plus dungeons as recent as Legion in the Mythic Plus rotation, especially as early as Season 1. To me, they just don't feel new enough. Unlike Shadowmoon Burial Ground and Jade Temple. Even though I've played those dungeons just as much in my time, they have never appeared in a Mythic Plus version before. There is something new about having these dungeons in a Mythic Plus season in a way that there just isn't for the Legion instances. I love that they are solving the loot table issue. I think it is a shame that we have to play old dungeons in the first season of a new expansion. I think the best way to mitigate that feeling is by making all 4 of those time-walking dungeons from Mists, or WoD, or Wrath, or TBC, or Vanilla, or man, I kind of feel like we are missing a trick not having some Dragon-tastic Cataclysm dungeons in there, you know? So I would love to see a whole quartet of Mythic Plus debutant dungeons as the time-walking choices in Season 2. It's gonna be told a f***ing gore, isn't it? Speaking of gearing, update on the Storm Sigil gear that we covered last episode. You'll remember, because you watch all our episodes, this is the almost normal raid level and almost LFR level gear that you earn by doing primal invasions in the open world. An unlimited farmable currency to buy the blue level items, and we can reasonably assume, capped for a week Storm Sigil currency used to buy the purple quality stuff. In its first iteration, you could farm the currency for the blue gear infinitely, but you needed a certain amount of Storm Sigils for each piece of purple gear. In the last episode, we saw that Blizzard had added a single Storm Sigil cost to each of the blue gear pieces and made the blue version of each item a requirement for purchasing the higher level item, as well as a general price hike all round. If that sounds confusing to you, I'm just not explaining it very well. Trust me, people were not happy. We said in that episode that the system clearly wasn't finished, and it still isn't. But currently on the beta, this gear has changed again, and it's changed kind of back. The Storm Sigil cost has been removed from the blue gear, yay! And although that blue gear is still part of the cost of the 395 stuff, prices have been slashed harder than Andrew Tate's social media presence, with most slots costing just half the amount of Storm Sigils as before, except tier set slots like Helm, Chest, Pants, etc., which hover between the 7 and 10 sigils in price, making them the most expensive ones. We have been told before that there will be a creation catalyst equivalent in Dragonflight to change certain types of non-tier gear into tier gear, just like in Zereth Mortis. And whereas the pricing on these items doesn't completely suggest that Storm Sigil gear will be among the items that you can convert into tier, it doesn't not suggest that either. Basically, this is a lot more like the original iteration of the prices, a big improvement over what we discussed last video. Nice one, Ian, but I cannot stress this enough. This is very much still clearly not finished. Sigils still aren't even dropping from invasions at the moment, it remains something to keep an eye on. And anyway, when it comes to endgame, Dragonflight is all about the non-player power rewards, right? The transmogs, the toys, the mounts, all gained through those 4 new faction renown systems for the Azure Span Tuskar and the 3 other factions that aren't even Tuskar though. But did you know there's actually a 5th faction that you can gain rep with too? The Black Dragonflight. Upon unlocking endgame, you will take part in a series of quests where you choose which candidate you wish to back for leader of the Black Dragonflight between Rathian and Sibelian. Who are they? Shush now, we don't have time for that. I'm going to make a separate video on it. But there is a handful of new dailies which specifically award rep tokens for the Black Dragonflight, but you choose whether to hand those tokens into Smirky Sexy 9-year-old Dragon or Gruff 1000-year-old Dragon for some really cool cosmetic rewards, like a unique male transmog, Black Dragon weapon appearances, including, in my humble opinion, one of the legit best two-handed axe models in the game. But perhaps best of all, new armor and Black Dragon scale customization options for all 4 of your Dragon Isles Drakes. And yeah, that is very cool indeed. But also, depending on who you back, Rathian and Sibelian have some unique rewards too. Rathian will give you the Armoire of Legendary Cloaks, a wardrobe which will award players a random cool cloak appearance for 30 minutes on a 15-minute cooldown, including the Mists of Pandaria legendary cloak effects and the BFA legendary cloak effect. And you know, what a great idea for a toy. A wardrobe full of Rathian's cloaks. Where did you get that idea from, Blizz? Sibelian rewards a unique cloth set, but as far as we're aware, you can grind out rep with both of them and get all of those rewards eventually, which seems wrong and weird somehow. Again, we'll have to see how that one ends up, but as you know, I am fully in favour of more things to do for cosmetic rewards, especially in Dragonflight, where that is basically all there is for day-to-day endgames, so frankly, the more the merrier. And yeah, obviously, I'm going Sibelian because Rathian is a dirty idea stealer. Screw that guy. Okay, Evitel, my promise to you.
Yes.
My
be
very
careful. Be careful with where that sentence goes.
Suggestion to you
That's a big opener.
is that this time next week, or maybe the week after, at most the week after that,
Right.
we'll have a sofa to do this sofa bit on. Pretend fake sofa
What
bit
kind
no
of sofa?
longer.
What kind of sofa?
Whichever one you want within a very, very strict price point. And also size point, because
Right.
actually, even though this is a very big space, we are using lots of it for different things, and the sofa needs to fit back there, which means it can't be too long, but even more important than that, it can't be too deep, because otherwise it comes into the room too much. So
Yes,
it's
and
a
also-
very specific type of sofa.
Gotta have room for my desk.
Well,
there.
I don't want you finishing your work
Right there.
on your desk there and going, and like coming back like that in kind of triumph and then like tripping over the sofa.
Yeah. Well, I would like to be able to do that, but then fall directly onto the sofa. and
In
go
that
to
case,
sleep.
we have no depth. The depth requirement is fine. We can have the deepest sofa that you like. Yeah, but no, it's gonna like. Yeah, I actually, this set here has looked worse, frankly. But no, it's fine. But we are doing so much work on the office at the moment. I'm really sorry. And like it is kind of all over the place. We just came back from Guild holiday last week.
We did. That was a lot of fun.
So we are playing catch up still, but we are getting there. And new camera we used for the intro and for my bit as well. Haven't started editing that footage yet, so I have no idea what it looks like. The chances are quite strong it's going to look quite terrible because I've never used the camera before.
Right.
And I haven't really had a chance to play with it yet. I'm in a bit of a rush. So
On the
it's just
plus side, this camera looks great. I love this camera.
I mean, yeah, this camera is recording in the wrong resolution right now for the video, but that's absolutely fine. We'll work on that. We'll get that sorted for next week as well. This is the second time we've recorded this sofa bit, because the first time we recorded it in like the wide bit was the length, and the length was the wide bit, so we were like a TikTok video, but stretched in.
TikTok video, which I thought we could have used for a minute, but
Yeah, no, it wasn't gonna
even
happen.
as a joke, it was
And
just
like,
wrong.
obviously now that we're back, like we can start making kind of weekly resets because there's so much news
That's the
happening.
plan.
We can start making other T&E videos, and we can start getting caught up with all the Patreon stuff as well, because we've got so much work. Like this wall back here is going dark. It's going very dark. Can you see the paint like on the wall there?
reach it.
We're thinking of those kind of colors, like very dark wall, but there will obviously be colorful stuff like on the wall, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be high contrast. It'll be great, and the sofa will be there and stuff as well. It's gonna be lit in a fun way. It's gonna be really, really good. Getting a lighting bar put up there. In the next week or two, I'll be putting up the brick wall on the other side of this office, like for proper. Like you can't
luck.
do YouTube without a brick wall.
no,
right?
I agree.
I am building that brick wall myself. So, I mean, I don't see what could possibly go wrong. No. And you're just busy playing WoW like every second of the day, right, as well?
Right. I am not in WoW at the minute. I am going to be in WoW for Dragonflight. Like, with the day Dragonflight drops, you know, I'm going to be there on my computer in the night.
Day before getting all your talents sorted.
Exactly.
I guess.
No. I'm going to be, I'm going to be doing all that. I am so excited for Dragonflight. It looks beautiful. I know it's, things are still coming together, right? Some of those talent trees are being fiddled with and probably will be up until the very last minute. So there's that, but it does look really, really good, and I'm really, really excited to get deep into Dragonflight.
And we're at that stage now where clearly they are getting ready for pre-patch.
Yeah.
I think the leaked date of kind of late October is probably bang on. I think we'd have all thought that anyway, even if it hadn't been leaked, right? And then release date in late November, a month afterwards. And so, yeah, it does feel like every single week, basically, there's changes to every talent tree right now. Not huge ones. It does feel like, some talent trees are getting huge ones, like either complete reworks or remappings and stuff. Most of them, though, it's just a little alteration here and there, but like Warriors are basically just getting tuning now. And so, yeah, it feels like we're in the kind of the rush before the pre-patch, getting all that stuff ready.
Which is exciting. I love that.
Yes, and I can't even criticize you for not playing WoW too much lately, because I suddenly realized, even though I spent loads of time in the beta, I haven't actually played a single moment of Season 4. Like I literally, we were going to do an intro about the Slime Cat, and I thought, I can't do a Slime Cat intro because I literally haven't set foot in Season 4. Our guild have been doing it and doing the fated raids. I haven't done it at all. It's just because I've been doing work on the beta and stuff like that, Well, the beta's so good. Yeah. I mean, and this isn't saying, it's going to be a really good expansion or anything like that. I'm not, you never know until kind of you're well into the game, really, and like what the patch cadence is like and stuff like that. But I defy you, if you're like WoW, not to enjoy the Dragonflight beta, as a new thing to play and what have you. Cool. And I have to really stop myself from just playing it like as a normal video game.
I know, you can't spoil everything.
I do it. I go on there and I'm like, I just want to play some Dragonflight, right? So I have to stop myself. And I'm like, no, you're only supposed to be testing stuff like classes and getting footage and stuff and checking out new stuff so that you can report on it in the weekly reset and stuff. I just want to play the game.
I know it's your job to just basically spoil yourself, but save yourself a little bit. Save yourself a little bit. I know. And you will soon.
But already I know my way around all the zones and stuff, and it's like, no, even though they are massive.
Well, you can live that, freshly opened, unboxed expansion feeling through me.
Yeah, exactly. And you can tell me how much you're enjoying
through the night.
And that would be fun. That would be good. Well, okay, I'll make sure I got your desk set up for that as well then, and we can do some back-to-back. 90-degree angle, kind of enjoying of Dragonflight together, right? Yeah. So, the back-to-back dragon. Which of our kids did that one come from?
Yeah.
So thank you for all your patience recently as well. Like I say, with the streams as well, and to patrons who are patiently waiting for their kind of like office update videos. It's a funny old time, and especially now because yes, the weekly reset. We got away with having it bi-weekly for a little bit during the move and stuff.
Yeah.
But not anymore.
It is time.
Not anymore, Evie.
No.
It's the busy time. So we're going to be in here every week doing the news and also other videos as well about little cool lore stuff, and because I love those videos. And of course, now pre-patch is on its way. It's time for those class guide videos as well.
Oh, my favorite.
My favorite too.
I love the class guides.
Yeah, me too. So, that's going to be difficult with all the kind of like talent trees and stuff. It's fine. Can't wait. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of us, in various quality of recordings as I work my way around the new camera. But thank you for joining us today. If you like this video, don't thank us. Thank our patrons who still give their actual real life money to make all of our work happen. And guys, without you, seriously, we wouldn't be able to do literally anything right now. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is anyone who isn't a patron of Taliesin and Evitel. It's their fault this video is bad 100%. Because we don't have enough money to make the videos good because of that. So
could have been you.
We could have afforded the good jokes this week instead of the ones we ended up with.
The ones that just come through like the mailbox every week, just in a brown envelope, being like, hey.
No, my name is Taliesin from me.
And me, Evitel.
Until next time, cheerio.